Thanks, Mr. Mapaila from Community. The last presentation will be from Labour by Dr. Dennis George.
Good morning. I was up this morning already at 5 o'clock to prepare, but then I had nothing to do, and I decided, look, let me read through the speech that the president delivered yesterday. Because, you know, sometimes when you sit in the audience, you'll hear, but you don't absorb everything. Because, you know, some of the words might go past your ears. I think it was a fantastic speech. I think it was spot on. I think this is the kind of leadership that our country needs at this moment. So comrades, the point is basically this. This title for this discussion is Sectorial Interventions Creating Jobs. So how do we know that these proposals that the colleagues from NEDLAC have worked on for a number of months and we signed yesterday, how do we know that these particular proposals and interventions are going to deliver results? Are we not making the same mistake when we had the National Development Plan, the New Growth Path, ASGISA, JIPSA here? Or is this particular proposals underscored by theoretical evidence that can be tested elsewhere, and that we can really be sure that maybe after 7 months or 8 months, when we look at the implementation, that we can start to measure. There's a Chinese economist, he was the vice president of the World Bank, and he was the first Chinese to complete his PhD. His name is Justin Lin. You can Google him. He wrote an important theory about growth identification and facilitation. In other words, how are you going to identify growth in the economy and how do you facilitate? So what we've done in NEDLAC was to say, look, our first objective is, number one, is we want to protect the jobs, because it is not making any sense if we want to create new jobs and at the same time other companies are going to retrench people on the other side. The second area was, and with this area, I must apologize to you, as a General Secretary, I also have a fiduciary duty to look after the finances of the workers that pays membership fees. So I've got a Vice President here, his name is Ashley Benjamin. When he sees me, he says to me, Dennis, please buy local. If you procure local. But then I've got another Vice President, he's the charge of the finances. He says to me, Dennis, you can't go over your budget. So whenever we want to procure, I ask the staff, they must get us the quotations. The thing that I always see, the products that come from China, that product is always lower. The price is lower. And they push me, say, no, but comrade, you must buy here. We cannot run away from price, comrades. This thing of being competitive is something that we have to do, and we have to do it properly. Because nobody's going to pay more money just because they love you. I mean, I've got the fiduciary responsibility. They're going to say to me, you know, the governor of the Reserve Bank, former governor, Jill Marcus, she said to me, Dennis, you know what? We look at the prices of items before we put out the tender. Then we write the prices down. The minute when the South African Reserve Bank put out the tender, then the prices automatically shoot up. Now, I'm not sure whether that is collusion or price fixing or democratic stories, or people just want to take advantage. Daar is nou 'n orde, laat ons nou skep. So, I mean, we are busy with the conference and the summit, but let us not fool. Some people here have their own interests. They want to maximize profit. We as labor, we want jobs. But read that paper from Justin Lin. It will educate you about something. Why did the Chinese have that phenomenal growth? When they went into the sectors to identify the growth areas. The second area about exports. You know how the Chinese goods came into South Africa and we decimated many factories in our country. They beat us on one reason. It was the issue of price. So labor must work with the companies on a local level to get this thing of price right. The second thing is exports. We can put all incentives in place. If we are not going to be competitive in quality and price and all these things. So this social accord, and I told you in the beginning, I read through the speech again this morning to reflect deeply what the president was trying to tell us and what he was trying to say to us. So we have identified, and I agree with my colleagues from agriculture, the avocado paste stories has been identified as a good product to eat. You know, I want to also lose weight. They say avocados is good for weight loss, and it's good for many other things. Makes a man strong, Sipho. So colleagues, that is what Justin Lin explained to us. He say you must identify the growth areas. And in that identification process, you will also see where you have your competitive advantage. And you can at the same time pay your workers a decent salary. The other area of manufacturing. Colleagues, manufacturing is very difficult, but South Africans have shown, and I must give compliments to Minister or Dr. Rob Davis, that of all the chambers in Nedlac, the Trade and Industry Chamber is one of the chambers that works with one another the best. I don't even have to worry because look, we're always biased towards the Department of Labor because they take us to the ILO and they pay for the cost. But that chamber, they work together. You can never see there's a march or there's a dispute. That chamber just work together. So I would like to encourage the minister to help these colleagues to read that paper of growth identification and how do you facilitate that growth. Colleagues, and then I want to look at the gas-based industry. It looks for us very positive. We think we can move forward. But from our side, and I want to conclude, before the program director give me a paper here, is that let us focus on our work and this time focus on a research-based approach. Let us not become over-emotional or over this and that and that. So when our people want to keep us accountable in 6 months' time, in 12 months' time, in 18 months' time, then we can tell them, look, this is what we've implemented, that was the theory, and that is the outcomes. Thank you very much.